The year is 1945. World War II, a conflict that engulfed the globe, raged for 6 long years. Millions perished, victims of a brutal ideology fueled by hate. By spring, the Allied forces were closing in on Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler's dreams of dominance lay in ruins. From the east, the Soviet Red Army advanced with unstoppable force. They were driven by a thirst for vengeance after witnessing the horrors inflicted upon their homeland. From the west, American, British, and Canadian troops pushed forward. Their objective, the unconditional surrender of the Nazi regime. On April 30th, 1945, trapped in his Berlin bunker, Hitler committed suicide. His reign of terror was finally over. Germany's surrender came just days later, on May 8th. This date marked the end of the war in Europe, a day forever etched in history as Victory in Europe Day, or VE Day. The world celebrated, but amidst the joy, a stark reality set in. Millions lay dead. Cities were reduced to rubble. And across Europe, millions of German soldiers, once instruments of a hateful ideology, were now prisoners of war, facing an uncertain future. The surrender of the German Wehrmacht, Nazi Germany's once feared armed forces, brought a wave of relief, but also new challenges. Across Europe, German soldiers, many exhausted and demoralized, surrendered to Allied forces. For many, the act of surrender brought a mix of emotions: fear, relief, uncertainty. The process of disarming and processing these soldiers was massive. Allied troops faced the daunting task of managing millions of POWs. The immediate priority was clear: secure the prisoners, prevent further conflict, and begin the long process of determining their fates. For many German soldiers, the journey into captivity began with a long march. Columns of defeated troops, guarded by Allied soldiers, trekked across war-torn landscapes. These journeys were often grueling, marked by hunger, exhaustion, and the constant fear of the unknown that lay ahead. The treatment of German POWs varied depending on the capturing force and the location. Some soldiers encountered compassion and understanding, while others faced harsh treatment and resentment, a reflection of the atrocities committed under the Nazi regime. POW camps, hastily erected across Europe and beyond, became temporary homes for millions of German soldiers. These camps varied greatly in size and conditions, reflecting the resources and attitudes of the detaining nation. Life within these camps was a far cry from the battlefield, but it presented its own set of challenges. Food was often scarce, and basic necessities were in short supply. The cramped and unsanitary conditions in many camps led to the spread of disease. Boredom and inactivity gnawed at the minds of the prisoners, many of whom struggled to come to terms with their defeat and the crimes committed in their name. Despite the hardships, life in the camps was not without its glimmers of hope. The Geneva Conventions, international agreements outlining the humane treatment of prisoners of war, provided a framework for basic rights and protections. The Red Cross played a vital role in monitoring conditions within the camps and facilitating communication between prisoners and their families back home. Letters and care packages, though infrequent, became lifelines, offering prisoners a connection to the outside world and a flicker of hope for the future. The experiences of German POWs differed significantly depending on where they were held. In the United States, for instance, most prisoners found themselves in camps characterized by relatively humane conditions. The U.S., despite its wartime animosity towards the Nazi regime, generally adhered to the Geneva Conventions. German POWs in American custody received adequate food and medical care. They had access to educational and recreational opportunities, including language classes, sports, and even musical performances. Some prisoners were even allowed to work on farms and in factories, earning a small wage and experiencing life outside the confines of the camps. Across the Atlantic, conditions for German POWs in the United Kingdom were generally comparable to those in the U.S. While life in British camps was not luxurious, it was largely humane, with prisoners receiving adequate care and treatment. In contrast, German POWs held by the Soviet Union faced a harsher reality. The Soviet Union had suffered immensely under Nazi occupation, and the wounds of war ran deep. Many Soviet citizens harbored a deep resentment toward the Germans, and this animosity often extended to prisoners of war. Repatriation and its challenges. The fate of millions of German POWs remained uncertain. Repatriation was complex and fraught with challenges. The journey home began with anticipation and trepidation. They longed to reunite with loved ones but harbored anxieties. Germany lay in ruins, grappling with war's scars. The return home was often bittersweet. Legal trials and social stigma. The end of the war did not bring an end to the reckoning for those complicit in Nazi Germany's crimes. The Nuremberg trials brought high-ranking Nazi officials to justice for war crimes. Denazification aimed to purge Nazi influence from German society. Former soldiers faced suspicion, discrimination, and social ostracism. Germany grappled with its history, seeking a peaceful and democratic future. The psychological and physical toll. The physical and psychological wounds of war lingered long after the fighting ended. Many German soldiers returned home bearing the scars of battle, missing limbs, chronic pain, and debilitating injuries. These physical wounds served as constant reminders of the horrors they had witnessed and endured. Beyond the physical, the psychological toll of war was profound. Post-traumatic stress disorder, a condition characterized by flashbacks, nightmares, and severe anxiety, affected countless veterans. Many struggled to cope with the memories of violence, loss, and guilt. The stigma surrounding mental health issues often prevented veterans from seeking the help they needed. Many suffered in silence, haunted by their experiences and unable to find solace in a society grappling with its own trauma. The impact of these unseen wounds extended beyond the individual, affecting families and communities. The challenges of reintegration were compounded by the psychological struggles of veterans, leading to strained relationships, domestic problems, and a cycle of pain passed down through generations. The war's impact reverberated through families and across generations. Millions of German families lost loved ones on the battlefields. Children grew up without fathers, and parents mourned sons and daughters. For those fortunate enough to welcome loved ones home, the challenges of readjustment were profound. Many returning soldiers bore invisible scars of war. The war cast a long shadow over the lives of children growing up in post-war Germany. They inherited a legacy of loss and displacement. The war's impact on families underscored the profound human cost of conflict. In the decades following World War II, Germany embarked on a long and arduous journey of reconciliation and remembrance. The nation grappled with its past, acknowledging its complicity in the horrors of the Nazi era and seeking to atone for its crimes. Memorials and museums stand as stark reminders of the atrocities committed during the Nazi regime, serving as spaces for reflection, education, and a commitment to never forget the lessons of the past. Germany has made significant strides in educating its population about the Holocaust, ensuring that future generations understand the dangers of intolerance, hatred, and unchecked power. The process of reconciliation extended beyond Germany's borders. The nation has worked to rebuild relationships with its European neighbors, engaging in dialogue, fostering cultural exchange, and acknowledging the suffering inflicted upon other nations during the war. Germany's commitment to facing its past serves as a model for other nations grappling with difficult histories. It stands as a testament to the power of truth, reconciliation, and the enduring human capacity for forgiveness and hope. The Second World War stands as a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. It highlighted the dangers of unchecked nationalism, intolerance, and the seductive allure of totalitarian ideologies. The war's legacy continues to shape the world today, offering valuable lessons for humanity. The importance of international cooperation and diplomacy emerged as a key takeaway from the conflict. The establishment of the United Nations in 1945 represented a collective effort to prevent future wars and promote peace through dialogue and cooperation. The horrors of the Holocaust, the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews, served as a chilling reminder of the consequences of unchecked hatred and prejudice. The lessons of the Holocaust underscore the importance of human rights, tolerance, and the need to combat discrimination in all its forms. The war also highlighted the enduring resilience of the human spirit. Amidst the devastation and loss, individuals and communities displayed extraordinary acts of courage, compassion, and a determination to rebuild their lives and create a better future. From battlefield to history books. The story of Nazi soldiers after World War II is a complex tapestry woven from threads of surrender, captivity, and repatriation. These soldiers navigated the uncertain terrain of post-war life, grappling with their pasts. Their experiences remind us of the enduring human cost of conflict. The war's legacy continues to shape the world today. As time marches on, their stories offer valuable lessons for humanity.